Khushhali,
Yes.
if I ask you, in which states of India Khushhali is found?
Sir, I think in almost every state we have taken steps to actually make them more prosperous these days.
Which is the most prosperous according to you, or according to the Niti Aayog?
Sir, as per the Human Development Index and MPI Multidimensional Poverty Index, I feel Kerala is leading the way.
And which is on the bottom of the pyramid in terms of poverty and HDI?
Sir, currently it's UP and Bihar region.
Okay, was there any name given to this along with two other states?
Yes, sir, they were collectively known as Bimaru states.
Why and who gave this?
Sir, who gave, I am not able to recall the name. But why they gave was the reason that the poverty index was high.
Now you also have the hobby of exploring the grievances of people in the rural area.
Yes, sir.
What grievances you found?
So there are a number of grievances. I have mostly visited the villages.
Tell me
in
top
Bikaner.
three.
Yes, sir. The first is about health and education. There are no teachers in the schools when I visit Anganwadis and primary schools, and there are no toilets. Even if they are not functioning.
Okay, one, sanitation, other
Sanitation.
is... yes.
Second is the social issue. Social issue is regarding the illiteracy rate among people and the presence of the child marriages. 25% rate is there in
But
Rajasthan.
what you have got the grievances? This is the policy issue,
Yes.
which are in the public domain. What you found extra which was not available in the public domain? That is the question.
Yes, sir. So in that sense, the economic issue is that when I visit the farmers, they are not able to sell their produce in the mandis because of lack of availability of tractors and the carrying machines. So this is one. And secondly, in case of animal husbandry, they are not able to treat their livestock because the veterinary hospital is located far away. So this is the issue.
Okay, now government conducts agriculture census, government conducts the livestock census also. So since you have explored this, you must be knowing what are the key highlights of their censuses.
Yes, sir. So the animal husbandry census data was released recently, and we have around 560 million cattle. We are leading in the cattle and buffaloes, as well as we are second in terms of sheep. That's what.
And what about donkeys?
Donkeys, I'm not aware, sir.
Because on the other day, Vigyan Bhawan, the minister, made a statement. He said, हमारे देश में गधों की संख्या बढ़ रही है. What do you make out of it? Suppose he says this, and then he adds, it is not I am saying, it is livestock census is saying so.
Sir, on the face of it, it seems that the animal donkey population is rising, but it can have a negative connotation to the level of IQ in people, which might be declining.
Do you agree with that?
Sir, it's a pejorative term being used in society.
Term allowed, but the content, I mean the spirit of that.
Sir, I don't agree because donkeys are very hard-working animals.
No, I say hard. That is a different trait. I'm talking of the intellect.
Okay. Sir, I feel that in some aspects we are doing good, but there are areas which we need to work upon.
Okay. See, the Prime Minister of India has said that India will become developed nation by 2047. And what will be the criteria? What is the criteria to assess a country whether it's developed or not developed?
So first, as per the UN definition, it's the per capita income.
How much?
It should be above $11,000 approximately.
13,500. Okay. Then what? Is it a necessary condition or sufficient?
It is a necessary condition, not only sufficient.
What makes it sufficient?
So it should be added with other things like people's affordability towards health and towards education and better employment.
But that's not what IMF says.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, you have to read. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Khushhali, your subject is public administration.
Yes, sir.
what are the basic principles of public administration?
So the basic principle of public administration involves that the public administrator, they need to be open as well as closed at the same time. They need to work in teams in the form of networked form of governance with the private and the civil society. Secondly, they should follow the rules which are laid down and work in a proper hierarchical manner. And thirdly, they should maintain anonymity and neutrality, so as to say being non-partisan towards any other. So this is, and fourth is the merit base. They should be selected based on merit.
Transparency, is that also a requirement?
So transparency has been added after good governance came in. The initial principles were given by Max Weber. It didn't mention transparency.
Okay. What do you mean by committed bureaucracy? Committed to whom?
Yes, sir. So initially the phrase committed was actually used because the bureaucracy got committed with the political principles of the representative. But now the word committed means being commitment with the constitution principles. So that's what committed means.
And what do you mean by basic principles, basic structure of the constitution?
So the basic structure of constitution was evolved through Keshwananda Bharti judgment by the Supreme Court in 1973, and these are some of the principles which cannot be changed or altered by an action of the executive or the legislature. These cannot be harmed upon.
But there is a discussion. I am not saying there is a proposal, but there is a discussion that the secular and socialistic, these two words should be dropped. What is your view?
Sir, I would like to go back to the initial constitutional discussion phase, whereby the word secular and socialist were not included, because it was based upon the country that will decide whether it wants to be a socialistic or a capitalistic or a middle based economy. And the word secular is actually inscribed in other principles of the constitution, like article 25, 26. So it may not be needed vocally, but I think that since it has been added, so removing it would cause more harm than doing good. So they may be kept.
Okay. What happened to your forest service exams? Results have come?
Yes, sir.
You have got the entry?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Both your parents are executive engineers.
Yes, sir.
In which branch?
So both of them are civil engineers. Mother is working in irrigation department and father has been deputed to medical and health department.
Okay. You are also a civil engineer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
So you say you have interest in sustainable housing.
Yes, sir.
What is your definition of sustainable housing?
Sir, a sustainable house would mean that the house whose construction, operation and maintenance would cause minimum harm to the environment and would also improve the human health and its surrounding. It would involve the component of material and resource efficiency.
So that's a green building in effect.
So there is a slight difference between green building and sustainable. Sustainability takes account the long-term impacts. It takes human health also, and it wants to make a building disaster resilience also in the longer run, so that it can last for long. And also in the long term, it gives the economic benefits as well.
Okay. You think the Ayodhya temple is sustainable?
To some extent it is sustainable because it will last for 2500 years. So it is also made earthquake resilient, and it also has a separate waste management system and solar panel system and recycling the grey water system. So in these components definitely it is sustainable.
And they haven't used any steel in this structure?
No sir, no steel is used because steel gets corroded.
Okay. Your second preference is Indian Police Service.
Yes sir.
Recently we amended all the 3 criminal laws.
Yes sir.
Any inclusion which will help women,
So may I think?
please?
Yes, sir. Sir, the age whereby the marital rape is considered a crime, that has been increased from 15 to 18 years. And secondly, if someone promises a woman to marry, but if he doesn't, then that can be considered a crime. And if they are involved in any kind of physical relations.
Okay. And EFIR also will help women.
Yes, definitely, sir.
And they have brought most of the provisions pertaining to women at one place. Okay. Last question.
Yes.
You are fond of badminton.
Yes, sir.
Why of late our Indian players are not doing very well in badminton?
So for badminton to become a success, we need a multiple of steps. First would be, since most of our players are coming from humble backgrounds, so we need good nutrition for them. This is the main reason. And secondly, financial support, because badminton as a career, it requires funding, so that needs to be there. And then thirdly, we need good coaches and the academies which would be promoting and helping badminton. So now we are indeed growing, we are developing.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, Khushhali, you studied public administration and you are a civil engineer.
Yes.
You have given also interest in serving in the foreign service. So I would like you to tell me, are there any difference in the foreign policy of India during the first decade after independence and the last decade? That is the ending, this year. You get my point?
Yes, sir.
It's a Nehruvian decade versus NDA government.
Yes, sir. Sir, I feel that both the governments are definitely working in national interest, but there is a visible change. First can be the involvement of the people, their role in the framing of a policy. The success of G20 says that now the local people are very much aware. This was not the case in initial era because we were independent, we were just independent. And secondly, I feel that initially we were favoring the NAM, the non-aligned movement. However, now even when we are not aligning, but we are engaging with both of them, even the Russia and the US, because earlier we were focusing on our own growth. Now we are engaging them for our own growth. So this is the
that's
difference.
good way to look at it. But basically, both decades can be said to be promoting India's own national interest in its own way, according to the era and the
yes,
time,
sir.
need of the time.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, what do you think of India's relations with Iran?
Yes, sir. So India's relations with Iran have been since historical ages, and we have been promoting the Chahabar port in the economic terms for the good connectivity to Afghanistan. But however, due to the sanctions that USA put in, even though the project was exempted, but the shipbuilders and the insurance companies were not actually supplying the parts. So this halted our business with Iran, and even the oil trade was nearly zero. So that's where the hiccups lie. But now we are, even our foreign minister has recently visited Iran, and we have restarted all the projects. So our terms are on good conditions.
Yeah, good. Now, you know that Iran is an extreme right-wing religious country. You know, it's the priests there who rule and run, whereas we are a secular country. So with so much of difference in the both countries' internal status and situation, how can relations be so cordial and good, or we can make it cordial? Do you see a scope, or there is not much to agree upon?
Sir, I feel that the internal status of a country would represent the aspirations of the people which are living there. So definitely we have two different kind of versions, but the leadership at the top can still engage and work for the best of the interest of both the people. So India is working with Iran, and Iran is working with India. They both have mutual interest, and that's why I feel that certain kind of thing won't matter.
Good. Now, do you know who are Rohingyas?
Yes, sir. Sir, Rohingyas are the people of Rakhine state in Myanmar who have been forced to flee the country because they were not granted the citizenship status by the government.
Yeah, since 1982,
Yes.
the Myanmar government is not recognizing them. What is Indian government's policy on their entry into India?
Sir, our policy is being evolving. Initially, they were considered as illegal immigrants and that's why they were denied entry. But there is a threat to India if we are not considering any policy towards them. So the government's policy was evolved. Now we are even helping Bangladesh and Myanmar for the development of the Rakhine state and also working with Bangladesh to carry and cope with any kind of threat or developmental opportunities which are there.
To keep them there,
Keep them, yes, sir.
but not to allow them. I mean, that's
Yes.
also well
Yes, sir.
understood in the Indian government. Last question. You think SARC has become a success or it has been a failure?
Sir, I see it as a mixed bag of success. SARC, because of the strained relations with Pakistan, we are not able to make it a huge progress because even the trade is low and the connectivity remains low. So I think in this aspect it has not worked, but there are some other aspects also like opening educational universities or cooperation in medical and health. That's been on an improvement stage.
So when SARC is going low or not working very effectively, any other regional group which India is pushing it little better?
Yes, sir. We have BIMSTEC.
Very good. Well done. Thank you.
Khushhali, so how is the day?
So it's good, sir.
Okay, so if somebody wants to visit Bikaner, what would be your 3 things that he must see or he or she must see in Bikaner?
So first I would like to take them to the Kandi Mata temple, which is full of 20,000 rats. This would be one. And secondly, I would like to take them to the Camel Research and Farm Center. They could enjoy camel rides, drink the milk and etc. And third, I would like to take them to the Junagadh Fort, which is there.
Junagadh Fort.
Yes.
How far it is from the main city?
So it's located in the main city.
Okay, so like somebody you take to Karni Mata temple, what is the unique thing about it?
So the temple is also known as the Temple of Rats. We have around 20 to 25,000 rats over there.
There's some saying about that if you have a particular type of rat, then your wish will be fulfilled.
Yes, sir. It is commonly believed that if we see a white rat, then it brings good luck.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I have seen.
So, have you heard the name of Raja Ram Mohan Rai?
Yes, sir.
So, when he was and what is his major contribution to Indian movement,
Yes, sir.
freedom movement or whatever you call the
Sir,
Renaissance era of India?
Sir, Rajaram Mohan Roy was the torchbearer of the Renaissance movement in the 18th century. He was the face behind banning the cruelty of sati in 1829. So this was the major contribution, and he also worked in making political organizations at that time. This raised awareness among people and brought them together at a common platform to raise their voices.
Which platform he raised?
So there was acquisition of sir, I'm not able to recall the name correctly of that organization.
But you said in the 18th century, but you took the date of 1829, that is not 18th century?
Yes, sir. He was there in 18th century. He was there in both 18th and 19th century.
But he was born around what time?
So around late of 1750s, the other half of 1750s.
And what do you have to say about Ishwarchand Vidyasagar?
Sir, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar played a great role in promoting women education. He had also established certain college whereby he was the principal and he used to teach.
That is the major contribution.
Yes, sir.
There is one more very important thing he did for women.
Yes, sir. So he was the advocate for women widow remarriage.
And he himself did remarried his brother's wife,
Yes.
who became widow. So, what do you know about the Right to Service Act? You have done public administration.
Yes, sir. So the Right to Service Act has actually not been passed yet. It was there in 2011. In some states it has been passed, like Rajasthan we have the Right to Service Act.
More than 11 states have passed it.
Yes, sir.
So many states have passed it.
Yes, sir.
Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh was the first one to pass. What is there in that act?
Sir, it gives the proper timeline of the services that can be enabled, and how can the common citizen can reach the government machinery if they are not receiving certain kind of services. So the proper timeline and whom to call if there is any kind of grievance is given.
Then what is the CAA?
Sir, it is the Citizenship Amendment Act.
So what is there in that, and have we implemented it or not implemented? What are the reasons?
So CAA Act was passed in 2019, and it says that the minorities, it includes 6 minorities from 3 countries, Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Pakistan. The 6 minorities can actually get the Indian citizenship on a shorter time scale, which is of 6 years as compared to the normal 11 years which they have to stay. So we have not yet made the rules for the act.
What is the basic politics behind this CAA? That some parties are totally opposing it and some parties are saying that it should be implemented as early as possible. What is the politics behind it?
So there are 2 reasons for the opposition. The northeastern states are opposing because they feel it would disturb the demography of the region if other people of other faith are allowed to come. Whereas other parties are saying that it is discriminatory towards a particular section, the Muslims. So due to this there were protests.
Okay. So, what is your solution to this farmers agitation going on?
Sir, I think the main solution would come only by debates and discussions, and when they are demanding MSP to be legalized, I think it may not be done in the longer run. Government has proposed that for a 5-year contract they may take the crops on MSP, but not on a longer run. Instead we should work upon the diversification, and for diversification we need cold storage houses to be present.
Okay, thank you.
So, Khushhali, your interview is over. You wait outside for a while. We'll call you back to give our feedback.
Thank you, sir.
What is your self-assessment of today's interview?
Sir, I felt very comfortable while interacting with the learned men, but I feel that there are some points where I need to improve upon my knowledge base, especially in public administration.
Okay, perfect. Your overall demeanor is excellent. You have ability to critically analyze the question and frame your answer in a very cogent and logical manner. Flow was absolutely fine, and your communication skill, your articulation, your analytics, everything was absolutely fine. So I find you have every ingredient that is required for a civil servant you have in you.
Thank you,
And nothing to add except maybe you have to read a little bit more about the agriculture.
Yes.
You have to see this about, and on your hobby,
Yes,
you have
sir.
written, you have tried to explore the grievances of the people living in rural. But the answer you were giving, you were the broad policy issue which were not distinct, which is already in the public domain. So if you can analyze more on that, that will add value to your personality, because that will be something different for the board. Rest I think is fine, because most of the answer you is answered correctly. So we expect your name to be in the final list.
Thank you.
Is going to be your first interview?
So second.
Second, what happened in the first interview?
Sir, the mains marks were less.
No, interview is first.
Second interview.
So what happened in the?
Okay, sir, I got 184.
So that's excellent marks. In whose board?
Satyavati ma'am.
Satyavati, okay. This time you will not meet her, because
Yes,
somebody else will be there. So I expect your name. So if you have asked any question from us, feel free. One question is allowed.
Yes, sir. I want to ask one question. I have very micro details because I interact with the rural people. So there are very specific details. Like if they are saying the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is not getting implemented, that's because the people use the first installation for liquor. They
See,
spend it on liquor.
I understood your question. My suggestion, you go to the website of Department of Personal Administrative Reforms. They give the CP gram and they list the kind of grievances they receive and put in that some format and short point. If you are not able to do, second best is you prepare a frequency table. Write down questions in the one column. Second, you write how many people have repeated this grievance and then summarize in 3-4 sentences.
Yes.
Your answer should not be more than 30 to 45 seconds.
Okay.
Be very crisp, and that will and mind that is not the broad policy issues.
Yes, sir.
People are not getting job. That is not what you have to find out.
Yes, sir.
Rest is absolutely fine. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.